2022. This is the City of Mexico Beach Planning and Zoning monthly meeting. Tammy, could you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller?
Here.
Miss Lindsay?
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Here.
Mr. Ward?
Here.
Mr. Masters?
Here.
Mr. Linderman?
Here.
Mr. Mackey?
Here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're an advisory board. And so what we do here gets passed to the city council. So if you have an agenda item, be sure to go to the city council. And the agenda item, it looks like we only have one that's for public discussion. And so we'll let the person, whoever brought it up, speak if they're here. Then we'll open it up to the public and then close it to board discussion.
Mr. Chair, we do need to approve the minutes. Item number two, please.
Okay. And so we have the minutes to approve from the last meeting, so.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
You guys want to do a voice vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Okay. So, let's go, the first discussion item that we have for the board will be electing a new chairman. So, last meeting we discussed this and I wanted to wait until we had a full board. And so we've got everybody here. So, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I don't know if he'll do it, but Jack has been around a long time. I think Jack would make a good chairman. Only one is longer than me, I think, right? You were here before I got here. And so I'd like to make a motion that Jack Kerrigan is a new, unless he doesn't want it.
Well, was there another, were you interested in
I would be happy to serve, but you know, it's just.
If you're not interested, Jack, I can remove the motion.
it? I would rather not at this time.
Okay.
What I have going on with my business and my mother. My mother, who used to live with us, we built a mother-in-law suite. She's now in assisted living. She was taking the emergency room today. I'm very busy as her oldest son. So.
Okay, so another motion.
Motion for Ms. Lindsay.
I would be happy to serve.
Thank you.
We need a second.
I'll second Ms. Lindsay.
Thank you.
Tammy, could you call the roll, please?
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Miss Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Yes.
Miss Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes. Okay, so at this point, Doug, should I turn it over to Lorraine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then if you and I can swap.
Oh,
Or
You don't have to.
I'll just stay where I'm at.
yeah, you just stay there. Okay, so the next item we have is the variance request for 426 Colorado Drive. Is the homeowner here? Is there anyone to speak to this? Representing, you're here, okay. You want to introduce yourself to us, please, sir?
Rob Priest, 423 Colorado Drive. I don't know why Wolfgang isn't here. They were down for months. He just suddenly left. I think something came up with the family. He had to go, so he's not here. I'm going to speak for me and all my neighbors around me. Because all my neighbors around me are in agreement with me. I put a 20-foot fence up above it there. Have you all been down there and walked that property?
Yes.
Have you lost count of the cigarette butts in his front yard that come across the street? Were you all here before the grocery store got there and the liquor store got there?
Yes.
That was a Sleepy Hollow. There was nothing there but the post office. And from the post office all the way down, there was nothing except the lady who sold estate sales on the weekend. It's a zoo now. It is a zoo down here. I live 2 houses in front of the same house. I see it every day. There are variances for a reason, and this is one that should be approved. He's only asking to go another 70 feet with a 6-foot fence, and then the other 70 feet is 3 foot from that corner with the stop sign. So you can still see traffic coming. And this is something you need to approve. If you don't, it's just beyond me. This is something that needs to happen. If I lived in that house, I'd be pissed at what goes on. And I mean, it's not me, it's my neighbors all around me. Marcus lives in Georgia, called me the other night and said, hey, Rock, if you're here, speak your piece because I agree with you. And the next door neighbor, Danny, he's not here, who lives right next to him, he's the same way. Mark, who owned the grocery store and liquor store before, he doesn't own it now, but he even said, I'd put a giant fence up there.
Rob, do you live up
I live 2 houses from him.
from up 5th Street?
Colorado and 5th Street, 2 houses up in the schoolhouse.
Okay.
So I can see that all the time. We had to get signs put up to keep 18-wheelers from coming down Colorado Drive.
You see that traffic, that stop sign a lot,
Oh, yeah.
where the intersection comes together.
Yeah, it's a weird intersection because it goes kind of like this and then Field Street comes in. But there was never traffic like that before. There was no 18-wheelers coming in delivery trucks continuously, and that's what happens now. That needs to be approved. He deserves it.
You see a traffic hazard at that stop sign?
Well, what you need to do is take the stop sign and move it to the corner a little bit further and put the line there. He's got big palm trees in the corner, been there forever. So when you come up with the fence, you've got 3 foot, and you want to go 3 foot this way, 70 feet. If you stop and look, you can see. People fly down the street. You just got to use caution. But if you live there, I guarantee you, and if you live in that house, you want that fence. There's no doubt about it.
I have a question. According to what we have here, staff expressed concern for traffic safety issues. Can you address that, Doug?
Yeah, we've got, whenever your rock is done, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Because that's the question I had, was the traffic safety.
Yeah, the floor is still yours if you'd like.
What's that?
The floor is still yours before I.
No, I mean, I looked at it. I just went down there today twice looking at them like, if you move the stop sign up a little bit, put a nice big stripe there, people have to stop anyway. The trees are the biggest thing there. If the palm trees get trimmed a little bit, a 3-foot fence is doing nothing. We're talking this high. You're sitting in the car, you can see down that way.
Well, and I think there's already a 3-foot
He's got
fence
3 foot
existing
across this
on-
way, and he's got 6 foot down, and he wants to go another 6 foot, 70 feet, and then the next 70 feet, 3 foot. So you'll have 3 foot, 70 feet from the corner that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
So Keith.
Okay, yes.
Lisa Logan, 402 Maryland. In this particular case, I have to agree with the request for variance because that has become an absolute nightmare down there. However, it seems that there would be a simple solution that the city council should have already put in place. Each one of those little stores has a back door. And there is nothing that I can see that would stop all deliveries, including the 18-wheelers, from going through that gate that blocks the storage area, pulling right up by the back doors. They wouldn't have to cross the streets. They wouldn't have to carry the produce and the products so far. And then they've got room to come right, circle around the buildings and go out the other gate. It makes no sense not to require those commercial deliveries to use the back door like so many others do. And why that hasn't been brought up before, I can only imagine. But that seems to be the solution. If not, then let the people put up the fence, because I've lived here 20 years and used that section of the road for 20 years, and it is a nightmare, and it is dangerous. So I think that you ought to request that those delivery trucks go to back doors, just like normal deliveries do.
Doug, who owns, does the same property owner own these buildings and owns the storage buildings?
Yeah, he has that little parcel there, Harry.
Is-
Whenever it's my turn, I can update you.
Is there anybody else in
If I can comment on what you just said, this was brought up at city council meeting almost 2 years ago. After the grocery store and liquor store came in, he can't do what he wants. Trust me, I've been back there. It was brought up of taking 15th Street and paving the side of 15th Street and having delivery trucks stop on the side edge of 15th Street. And the city didn't want to take that on. That's the only way you can do it. You cannot go in the back with an 18-wheeler and get in there and turn around. So that's the only other option would be to do that. But it doesn't cut the traffic coming in there to the liquor store and the grocery store. And then that's another hassle right there. Is the amount of traffic coming in, the cigarette butts and all the trash. People just don't care. They just throw their crap out the window.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak to the issue?
I didn't catch all of what Rock was saying. Can you tell me again why they can't go to the back doors?
There's not enough room to get an 18-wheeler in there. You have to pave the side of 15th Street all the way out to pull an 18-wheeler down the side off of 15th Street and then come in the back doors. You can't get in where the gates are. There's not enough room.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, then shall we close the public hearing and then we discuss it?
Yes, ma'am. The only thing that I would like to make a little bit of clarity on, James could probably do that first, is the height of the fence. There's been some discussion about the height of the fence all the way to the corner. The application states that he's asking for another 70 foot by 6 feet of fence to the existing 84 feet of 6 feet of fence. I understand that a 6 foot fence all the way down to the end of the corner is what the application says.
And that's confused. That's
not
different than this
allowed.
map.
I thought it was 6 and 3.
It's 6 and 3.
I haven't seen
Right here,
the 3 feet. That's what I'm trying to clarify. I see from the staff summary, we talked about 84 feet of 6 feet of fence that exists and another 70 feet of 6 feet of fence. If there's a typo in there, I just want to make sure we clarify that.
We have this
We
map
have this,
up here. So who is this from?
That's from the homeowner.
Oh, from the homeowner. Okay,
Yes,
so you want to make sure that that is consistent.
Correct.
with
I
this.
just want to make sure that we're consistent with what they're asking for, because there's 2 different topics written.
Right. The variance letter, the way I read this, is that he's been approved for 140 feet already of 3-foot fence.
That's on the other side.
And he's asking for half of that to be 6 foot instead of the whole thing being 3 foot. That's the way I read it.
And if you look at this drawing here, what this is showing is that this piece out towards the end, which I assume is the end
Sorry.
towards the stop sign, is already approved at 70 feet long by 3 feet high.
And this has been too at 3 foot,
And he's asking for this section alone
to be 6 foot
to be
instead of
6 feet high instead of 3 feet high, but not this piece down here to be 6 feet high.
Correct.
That's what this drawing shows. I don't know what the link
And
is.
That's what's reflected here. I just want to be clear that we're all on the same page about.
Well, I'm confused. So
If you see the picture
this
there.
is correct and this is not.
No, it just doesn't work the same. When you look at the picture, the way the staff reports, it talks about 70 feet 6 inches high on the summary.
Okay.
That would take it all the way past to the end. The map shows, and his handwritten notice shows that it would be, he's already got 3 foot towards the end, but he's only asking for 6 foot in that middle section. So I just want to make sure everybody at the table understands that. Because it's a little bit confusing the way the 2 pictures.
6 feet, then drops to 3.
Yes. Just like, well, not like the other side. The other side's 3 foot all the way down.
Right.
So this would have a little bit farther at 6 feet and then finish with 3 feet. So it would not affect the line of sight for the stop sign at that height, because that's already approved at the end of the street. So that, you need to make sure you block that out of your thought process.
So is that a change since the city denied, recommended denial?
No. We're still in concerns about the fence being there in general, as well as anything else related to the police department's discussion as well. Go ahead, James.
Well, I didn't recommend denied or approved. It's a violation of your LDR. And there is traffic considerations when you put up a fence that in any way would limit the line of sight to less than what it actually is, and potentially open up litigation if there's an accident or anything there. But I got no bone in this. It's like that's what your LDR says.
What about the noise ordinance? Has this guy complained about noise?
Mostly about the site, some of the time frames where the trucks were delivered. He had some pictures at nighttime that he was talking about. But the biggest thing to be clear about was the fact that in the litter and stuff, all that's of course a problem. I took it upon myself. So now that we're clear on the fence, all right. So I met with the property owner from the store, Harry, this morning, and he was out of town. Today's the first day I talked on the phone with him several times, but he wanted to be there to kind of look through some ideas that I had. So if you've noticed, Fifth Street has been, I'm not passing this out because it's not something that's happening, but I want to give you an update of what I'm working for, and I've kind of talked a little bit with the city council about some ideas here. So Mr. Crease talked about a few things where on 15th Street, I'm not approaching that at all. I would not do that on 15th Street on that road. However, since we've paved 5th Street, it has come to our attention that the city owns about, 12 feet of that parking lot up to where the manhole is, and which leaves a little bit more that has to be kind of evened out with an apron up towards the door. We're working on a process to where we could reroute the traffic to be down at the very end, kind of where the employees park. So if you're on closer to 15th Street, there's a gravel parking lot that has a few speed bumps between the storage pup side and a store side. Does that make sense? There's a chance that he's a very favorable chance, he would move a couple of those speed bumps so that an 18-wheeler could come down, or a truck with a trailer, or a truck with a boat, or something, would not have to park alongside or for the delivery. So my recommendation was that the truck could pass by 5th Street, loop around the corner into this loading zone. So this would become a loading and unloading zone, be marked off specifically for that, or trailer parking for somebody that comes in and out for real quick to grab whatever they're grabbing in the grocery store, lunch, something for the fishing, whatever it is. So they would be able to make the turn and turn into the parking lot, not have to enter 5th Street, not have to enter Colorado, not go behind storage pups, which is not an option because that's a gated, coded gate currently as it stands. So that's not something that I think we need to get in the middle of on a private property there for access. But I did work on an idea that we could loop the trucks in. They would be able to park here on the very end. This could include the mail truck as well as anybody. It's all up to the property owner for where he tells his tenants where they're going to do deliveries and time frames and that kind of stuff. And so that falls on the owner of the property for delivery times and things of that nature. I believe Mark still manages the property, and he's expressed some concerns about helping to push those people in that direction. So basically, the owner of the property is looking to open up more parking in front of the stores, all the way down. They're going to I met with them today about enclosing the dumpster because that looks terrible. So also Rock's helped me out with a few things about the fence in the back. I've been working with the owner. They've been working good with us. They put up this black apron on the chain link fence, so you can't really see everything behind it, the pallets and all that kind of stuff from you can probably still see it from your house. But it's way better from ground view. So that was the first step. The next step is to clear out and make more parking for whether the employees need to park somewhere else so that the trucks can get into the loading zone. So just so you know, I'm working towards an opportunity to keep the trucks, corral the trucks on one end where they can loop in and loop back out without actually having to come down Colorado, turn around, back up, take a chance of running somebody over, something. And the property owner is working well with us on this option. He's actually he kind of wrote down what he thought it would look like, and I think it's something that I can work with. However, it doesn't happen today. It's something that we all want to kind of do to help control the traffic down there, and he's correct. Everything they said, nobody asked for that store, to be there. It just happened. Pretty quickly from what I understand before I got here. And to be honest, it's nice that we do have it, and I hate to have it in somebody's neighborhood. I wouldn't, like you said, have to look at it every day. I don't disagree. However, the fence at that height, at that length would not meet the LDR. So therefore, we're here today for you to look at it, whether or not you guys want to approve it. And of course, it goes to City Council tomorrow as well. So if there's any questions about the entrance pattern, I think the paving of this, striping of this, will help clean it out. The city's a vested partner in this. We need that business just like we need any other business. That's mostly our parking lot anyway. We're going to work to get that cleaned up and hopefully drive a little traffic. If we had a little bit better parking lines, we'd probably have a little bit better action there. Another thing to remember is all those poles and all that other stuff, that's going to have to be gone too. Remember, this person's house is complete disrepair as well still. So we're working to help them get their house cleaned up with the tarps that are wrapped around the house. And so we're working on that with them as well. But just have to remember, we can only do what the rules allow us to do unless it's changed.
But there's these concrete poles around the back. What is that?
Laying on the ground? The ones laying on the ground, I'm sorry.
It's concrete blocks.
It's blocks. Okay.
Yeah, he's just trying to get people from parking there.
Okay.
It's just, that's the city's right of way, it should not be there, it should be backed up another couple feet.
Right.
But I understand that he put that there to kind of curtail people from driving in his yard.
And Doug, if you go a little bit further down or toward the Gulf of Mexico, it might be the next property owner and it might be two down, I'm not sure. I was just there 45 minutes ago. And that property owner has like creosote pilings and they're barely 2 feet off the road. They're closer to the road than his concrete blocks are. Are those legal or not?
So the right-of-way ordinance does not allow for that unless they're temporarily be removed. If you remember, there was several conversations at council prior to my getting here and then like my first day. And council has since turned that back to me. So I'm actually in the process of evaluating all the ones that were quoted to be grandfathered in based on the severity of how dangerous they are and the risk that they possess to the city and how we are going to move forward to remove some of those. So, for example, these little ones like all these poles, eventually, we're going to let them know that they can't stay there. If they don't move them, we're going to remove them. So the little things like that. The ones in the ground, that's obstruction. That's a whole other conversation. That's supposed to be the bailout zone, just like this fence in this area over here, that city right away. It's supposed to be a bailout zone, especially if you have two trucks traveling, and a dog jumps out in front of you, so you're a bailout, and that's what's supposed to be there. I believe Tim had a question.
Yeah.
too.
I've got two questions if I can ask. First one is, with your plan, Doug, would the city then make that a no parking area along where he wants to add the extra fence?
I don't believe that that's something that I'm looking to do because it's a right of way. I would have to put up 9 posts in the ground and kind of break our own rules to do that. But
And my second question, according to the LDC, it discusses with fences in that area, a vision triangle, section 8.6. Did someone talk to what that requirement would be?
That was my question. What is the vision triangle
So how many-
measurements back?
How many feet would that require?
Yeah.
James is here. If you can talk about the vision triangle, you're talking about the line of sight there.
Yes, you're talking about your line of sight when you pull up and when you're trying to look, and it's basically all boils down to safety. Well, I understand what that means. What's the actual measurement? What would be the required vision triangle
That's what I
for
want to
this,
know.
for the state, the city?
I don't think it's in the LDR. As far as the specified distance,
I don't know the stopping speed based on how fast you're going. I don't know that calculation. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'd
so
like to know that.
most cities, I don't know if that's referred, because it refers to vision triangle, I think section 6 of that. So what is that reference to? Where is that reference at? Because I don't know what that is referring to. It's probably some state requirement, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I wasn't.
if it's on state road, it would be. But I don't think if it's not on state road, the state's not going to have a vote in it.
Yeah, we talked with the sheriff's office about what they would be looking for when they can see. So, those two roads are convergent. So the amount of time you have at the speed that allows you to get to that same point, I don't know that calculation, but you do have how many feet of 3-foot high fence still at the end?
70.
70, and that, I guess that's really your question, is the number 50, 60, 70, 80,
Yeah,
90?
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
the requirement
Right.
based on that particular location?
So you say that you spoke to the police. Did they give you any guidance on that?
They didn't like the idea of having it there. That was you also talked to them, I believe, the deputies or Marty Lieutenant about that. Did you have anything to add about that? I just didn't think it was workable as wise. It wasn't the main reason it wasn't in the LDR for that approval process.
So are you talking about the 3-foot section or the entire thing?
No, the one that wants to do 6 foot. The 3 foot's already on the other side of the street. You can see that one. This would mirror that on the other the 3 foot.
Yeah.
I think mine and Tim's question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, from the 3-foot section that's approved, we got it, it's fine.
Back 70 feet.
Back 70 feet. Is that 70 feet considered a clear vision sight? Because if it is, I'm okay if I'm sitting there, 70 feet, I can see that far, then the 6 foot that he wants to extend it is not gonna be in the way.
The only thing that I can say is that the fact that it's stated in the LDR law how far you're allowed to have that height of fence makes me think that it is not appropriate for that length of.
And 70 feet, if you think about it, if you have a moving vehicle, especially something small like a motorcycle, you know, the time that it takes to travel 70 feet's not much more than the blink of an eye.
That's true.
So, you know, when you're looking, I know I'm fairly defensive driver, proactive looking at what's going on, and
But there is a stop sign there on that one street. So when you come to a stop for safety, you have to have enough, you got vehicles approaching from that direction. And since the LDC does refer to that, what is the equation? Is 70 feet, is that even the right number that we allow?
It needs to be defined. Could you,
But it's denied and it doesn't allow for it based on the LDR, so therefore somewhere that speed triangle has been established. So
I'm assuming that Fifth Street does not have the stop sign, it's,
Fifth Street's further down at the corner.
Yeah.
It's the Colorado version that stops short.
could you put a stop sign on?
So you imagine if you're sitting in Colorado and you're looking back,
Right.
half of your vision area is going to be 6 foot versus the 3 foot.
But could you stop the traffic on Fifth? I mean, could you put a stop sign up there?
I think that'd be pretty.
Right in front of the store, I don't believe that would work.
What is the speed limit on Fifth Street? Does anybody know?
25.
25?
25, 15, yeah,
25. That's pretty fast, 70 feet. So you think about that formula. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that question. But it's got to be a distance that's less than what we're showing because the LDR had been approved by this board that was the approved portion, that distance.
Got two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know why they approved the 3 foot fence on the Colorado side?
I was
Oh,
not.
because the LDR allows for a 3 foot fence on the Colorado.
It's 2 foot is what it says.
It's a 2 foot.
It's a 2 foot?
Yeah, it had to come before the council as well. So why would they approve that if it was a problem with sight as well? I mean, I was there today and I actually parked at the store and a golf cart came from Colorado, went right through the stop sign, and I had been back in the back of the hill. And that's a dangerous place.
It is dangerous.
It's very dangerous. So, you know, why do they want a variance if they can have a 2 foot fence? If the problem is people parking on their property, then put up a 2 foot fence.
If you look to where the position of his home is on that picture, when he's looking out, he's got a garage blocking his view for number one if he's sitting in his living room. He has to be out in his yard to look and see all that past that 6 foot high fence that's already there anyway. I think that if you allow time for some items that I'm working on, just besides the fact that if you prove it like safety, something happens, God forbid, right? You have that on your mind, but if you allow me time to work with the property owner from the store, we can see how that goes. I mean, I'm not asking him to put up a 3 foot and then change it to a 6 foot. I'm just saying I need more time to work on this, where the vehicles park and the flow of traffic within the store. And I believe the homeowner was, he came into town from Tennessee today to meet with me so that I would have this information prior to the council meeting, for the PNC meeting. But I think it's something that we can work out between us. We can train the drivers to make sure that they go that way for the deliveries. So as long as it's something active and you've got an idea going forward, I don't know what happened 2 years ago when she was talking about that. I don't know how that went down. I was not here. But I'm vested in working towards a plan where there is a delivery section down closer to the 15th Street. It takes it away from his house a little bit. So I just, think about safety and risk and what you're setting yourself precedence for if you change the height of that fence based on the vision off of that street.
The other thing to point out here is it says in here, in areas where the property faces 2 roadways or is located in any other to be a corner lot, no fence or hedge exceeding 2 feet tall shall be located in the vision triangle. Okay, so, I guess the other thing that's worrying me about this is that I believe the one on Colorado is 3 feet, isn't it? So we're already not in compliance.
Well, they got variance.
I don't know when they got that approved. That was prior to this.
And they've also got 3-foot approved already, the full 140 feet on the store side.
Right.
So,
Does anybody know when these approvals work? Because a number of us have been on this board for a long time. and I don't recall either of these.
I've been coming in 6 months.
Can I ask if we had a permit for this fence? Is it?
I have
Doctor?
no idea, and we were not in, dealing with the permitting, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, on
Fences are through the city. EPCI does not do fences. Fences are through the city department. We'd have to look back on the height of that fence and when it was approved for that change. If it was approved somewhere, I'm not privy to that.
I think in this particular case, we need to go back and look at those records and find out how we got into a state of non-compliance thus far. Because as you say, I mean, this has never come before us. And, you know, I remember that property, the fence hasn't been there that long. So, you know, I think we,
Someone approved this fence,
I
is
don't
what
think,
you're saying.
I don't think it comes from us. I really don't. I think it bypassed us.
I didn't measure if it was 3 feet or the word say 3 feet. I didn't measure if it was 2 feet or 3 feet. So I really don't know. He could have written 3 feet was 2, but I did not measure it. So
Yeah,
no.
I've been, as long as I've been here, I do not recall this ever coming up.
code enforcement manages fences. So. They asked for this variance to change it. Now, whether he was approved already for the 3-foot fence long ago, whenever it was, I don't have that answer. But
Okay, so-
I urge you to either table it or deny it,
Okay,
based on the fact that it doesn't
that's my question.
specifically doesn't meet the LDR. And it also allows me time to work with the property owner for the store to come up with a possible solution. And there's plenty of other things to be working on down there versus that fence right now, to be quite honest.
You know what I would recommend is that we find out as a committee, how was that other fence approved? Did they actually get a variance? It
Yeah.
does not come to us.
I think we could
The house
probably,
is torn up since the storm.
oh yeah, I saw the
So-
charts and all that.
Fence looks newer than the house, so I guarantee the fence did not come through P&Z. So I wanna know where it got approved and when it got approved.
So
We don't know if it's 2 feet or 3 feet from sitting where we're standing. I didn't measure it. I don't have any measurements. He may have just written 3 feet. It's really only 2 feet, 2 inches or whatever it is. So we can verify that.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds kind of like we need more information. So does somebody want to suggest that we get a little more information about whether this was permitted and,
Yeah,
Well, I think what
think
you've
that-
got to do is either table it or deny it.
Yeah, I think that what they're asking for now, I
Mhm.
think we need to put it to a vote, honestly, because this is where we're at. But I do still would like to request that Doug bring to us about the other side of the fence. Because
So-
this is gonna go to the city council with our approval or denial.
So if I understand Doug's guidance, could we be making a motion to deny it or table it? And table it meaning you explore the solutions you're working on?
Yes, and the council could get that same recommendation tomorrow that you guys had tabled it and would like more time due to some recent information that had been brought up. And they can decide to vote on it or not. That's up to them. I cannot speak for them, but I think I urge you to think about the height of that fence and the reason that LDR says it shouldn't be at a certain height. Just that's the number one thing. So if you, whether it's 2 foot or 3 foot on the other end, we could deal with that possibly.
Well, it sounds like we're learning that the fence that's already there may exceed its height, may or may not need it. So I think it would be premature to approve another taller fence right now, so to jump to that height. So I would make a motion to table it while you aggressively explore the solutions that you're looking into.
do we have a second on
Well,
that?
I want to ask a question, Jack. Do you know that if we table it, can it not go to the council until it's been through us?
It's on the agenda for
No,
tomorrow.
it's not.
It's not on-
It is not on the
Oh,
agenda.
that was time for the next meeting. Excuse me.
That was,
I think that's a
It's
good.
not-
So that gives us more time. That's great.
Yes, like this.
And I would ask, you
Sorry about that.
You said the business owner is cooperating, and I can completely sympathize with the property owner. I've lived here, and I'm glad that store's there, and I use that store, but it has changed from a quiet little strip mall where people might unload stuff once a week to now it's Mexico Beach's mini mall, and we need it, and the likelihood of another store being built to relieve the burden is not immediate, so.
That's
But I wouldn't want those trucks to park where these pictures show that those trucks park. I've never been over there and seen delivery trucks park, but I don't doubt that they do it when I'm not there, so
I've seen it.
I would eliminate that.
Okay, so we have a motion to table this. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Motion to table.
Table 30 days to the next meeting. I don't think it needs to drag on.
Well, that's a good plan. All right, so all in favor of tabling this issue to the next meeting? Oh, yeah, we do have to call on that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Miss Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Kerrigan,
Yes.
Miss Ward,
Yes.
Mr. Masters.
Yes.
So just to recap, I'll get back to you and find out about the actual height of that fence as well as when it was processed as for approval, so I can get some more information on that. I do need to look into the line of sight triangle, and maybe I can figure out that geometry. Let me go by next month. But I will get that done. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, and then I'll keep you updated on what we're doing with the entryway to the store. I do believe that was a positive conversation this morning about directing traffic in or out one of those ways down there on 15th Street. So that way they wouldn't be tempted to go through 5th Street or Colorado Street as it is. I mean, those signs that are put up there, they're about as much worth about as much as they're made on.
One thing I would suggest too is that we check and make sure that the property owner understands that he needs to be 3 feet off the road, okay? Because that's an important part of this whole thing too, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
My big question is, well, how do you define the line of sight in an intersection? Because this is gonna come back and forth until you say, well, I read somewhere that a line through the front of the house where it meets the side property line is the line of sight.
Right.
But that doesn't sound reasonable in this instance where it could be farther out, but that's gotta be defined before you can do anything.
So I did research this before coming, and there is a formula based on the 2 angles. So that's what needs to be determined.
Yeah, this is unusual because it is an odd angle. that
Yeah,
it-
it's got 5 roads coming into one place.
Yep.
Yep, I will round up those informations, and if I have any additional stuff, I'll bring it as well. And I'll have it on the agenda for the next P&Z meeting for the first, I think it's the first Monday in April.
Okay, so we can close the public hearing on that particular issue, right?
You did that already, we voted to table it, so we're done with that item.
Okay. Are there other announcements?
I do. I want to thank everybody. I've been here for a very long time, and tonight is my last meeting. I'm retired. The last city I lived in, I volunteered 10 full years, and I've been here for 5. So I'm going to use my time watching Monday Night Football.
Okay.
Can't believe
If we
it.
change the meeting night, would you say? We can do that.
Meeting night is, yeah, you can do that.
Okay, well, we appreciate your service, and
Yep.
you've been a valuable member of this group.
So then that opens us up to looking for another alternate. So Mr. Linderman would be the next to move into to that post. And we would be looking for a second alternate, Mr. Saunders. In your first meeting, you move up to the first one.
I told you this would go fast.
I remember when I first came on, they said you probably never would be voting as an alternate. You know, every single month I voted.
The very first vote you ever made, I voted one way, Jack voted the other way, and you had to break the time.
I don't remember that, but that's scary now to think back about it.
Congratulations to you on your retirement, Mr. Masters, and thank you very much for your service. You've been a steady hand over the years. I see a lot of stuff from you.
You may need to have coffee.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
There's a huge amount of dirt on 15th Street.
You don't say.
What's going on?
So that's actually set up for there were a development order for 42 or 44 condos over there. SCC is working on the plans for that to bring back, but it's 44 proposed condos. So they're going to have a retaining wall around it, and the ditch will be deeper. It goes back. It doesn't impede on the wetlands. We had all that approved by the engineer to leave that dirt there a little bit early.
Well, I don't understand how that's not gonna have a very negative effect on stormwater on 15th Street. Because they have filled in, we've got some pretty strict regulations on fill. And, this guy's come in and done this. And, the thing that is bothering me about it is we keep letting people do this, contractors and whoever, who come in, they start doing stuff, they don't have permits, and then it's all done, and we go, oh, well, we'll have to let them leave it because it's gonna be so expensive. And the problem I have with that is that until we start making somebody come out and take those 100 dump loads of dirt off that property, we're gonna keep having this problem. Because, as long as people get away with it, then it's free reign in Mexico Beach. Do what you want to do. And we've got to stop it.
We do red tag at least one a week, it seems like lately, that are coming in and dumping loads and exceeding the 12 inches. This was actually, they came to us ahead of time. This is not something that surprised us. They're going to have a 3-foot retaining wall. They have engineered plans showing that it's allowed to happen. But we do catch them, I'm sorry, man. We do catch them all the time when they come in and they dump. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that. Well, yeah, you're not. So either you can get an engineer, pay for an engineer to say that that's not going to impede on the stormwater or the runoff to your neighbor's property, or you have to remove it. So they have to go get an engineer to do that and then turn that into us. We're very strict on that. Or they get double fines or however that works.
Well, that guy that lives on 386, right, when you get at the stop sign on 15th and make a left, you cross the bridge, he's dug an ocean back there around that house. I mean, it's incredible how much dirt he removed from
Mr. Harmon.
But that's in unincorporated Bay County. That's not inside the city limits.
That's Mr. Harmon.
So are you telling me that he's got a permit and
He has a temporary development order, yes, ma'am, for that on 15th Street.
Temporary.
Yes, ma'am. So if he doesn't have that stuff squared away, that's not supposed to be enough. Is it approved development order? Excuse me.
It's a temporary development order. There was an engineer involved. Now he's got to make some changes to the way that some of that fill is actually situated on the property. Silt fence was being installed, and we've got the engineered plans on how much fill is actually going to be there. Does not exceed the 3 feet of fill. Now, like I said, this is temporary as it's sitting right now. And there is going to be some changes made to how it's actually stacked on the property until all of the infrastructure is actually done in the fill.
And he's actually dug out the ditches deeper all the way around it, back to the wetland in the back where the runoff is. He's actually done above and beyond of what it was prior to that. So the runoff should be contained. They have a pathway through the middle to push it to the back as well. So
you can do that with just a temporary order?
If he doesn't comply with what he's supposed to have, he'll have to remove it.
But you can do all them steps with just a temporary?
He came in and had the engineered plans showing that that's what was going to happen, that it was going to be, the runoff would be fine, and yes, ma'am, that was approved.
So is what you're saying, they're going to build that lot up 3 feet?
They have a retaining wall set up. I'm sorry, I'm not the...
I think I remember looking at plans, and I'm not the plan reviewer, but I did do a brief on them. And there were some areas that was going to be a little more than 3 feet, some areas that was going to be less, but the average was less than 3 feet of fill going in there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that lot used to go way back, and then there was a big rise, and the house was on the rise. So what you're saying is for that whole length, and it's got, I don't know how many, 1,000 feet or more, that's gonna all be filled in approximately 3 feet? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm picturing.
It'll be less than what's for the 3 feet that's allowed. And if it doesn't, he will remove that. So that's as much as I can offer right now.
And how many townhomes?
I think it's 42.
I think that's correct.
I thought that development was for 16 duplexes.
this is 42, and they're having, they're working on their townhome amendment, condominium amendment, something of that nature. I forget what it was. That was where there was a holdup on HOA versus townhome, HOA of the documents, that kind of stuff. So they're working on that. So there'll be more to come for that. But yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you have something?
I did. Looking for a little update, Doug, on damaged properties and what's happening towards enforcement. We talked about this about a year ago, and we got a spreadsheet, and it showed us this one is in litigation, this one is being contended with the attorney. And that's sort of the last formal proposal I've seen on that. So
I didn't know that came to you, but we did actually just remove, it was deemed God's house. It was like 35th Street, 116 35th Street was removed, the one that removed from one property to the other. They removed that finally last week. That was paid for through FEMA dollars. That wasn't the city's money. We have one on Pier Road that is on 37th Street on the right-hand side. It's one of the 4 townhomes. That's actually gone through the attorney's office, and it's subject to be for abatement. I'm getting a quote on removing that. Now remember, for abatement, we have to pay for it first, the city does, and then we put it on their taxes, and when they go to pay their taxes, we get the money back. So that's one way. I actually just gave it like 4 today to, I have more to give you then, sorry, to James to go look at from a building official standpoint for a new system for abatement or unsafe structure. Several of them are behind, I think 2 or 3 of them are behind where the Kilmer Seafoods is. There's a couple other on 35th over there, Water Drive.
35th, 36.
So we're actively working towards the removal of those. A lot of them remove them on their own. Some that do not, or that are in insurance, like the one on Pier Road. The insurance company is still battling. However, we told them we can't wait any longer. We had given them a deadline, and the 30 days for response is up. So we're working to move that one to get rid of it. I'd rather them remove it on their own, but we have to remove that one. So remember, that's city money expended, and then we get it returned the next calendar year.
So how many properties are still remaining that are considered unsafe?
I don't know that number off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
May I make a suggestion? Last time when we got that, Kathy made up this spreadsheet for us, and maybe for the next meeting, we could request that she update that sheet for us, because I know she had it, and she's the one that did it for us, so.
some of the properties that I remember on there were, it's on 98. I think it used to be a gift shop about 2 blocks this way of the coffee house.
We just removed that.
Yeah,
That one was part of
that's
code enforcement. Not the whole thing's not gone, but they removed the shutters outside. That was unsafe. We got that removed. So that's about as far as we can get for that. But there is quite a lengthy process when it goes through the special master that doesn't go fast.
Yeah.
So I can see what list that she does have and maybe how far she's checked it off. I do know that we've reported to FEMA. They came back to us asking some questions about some of the permits and some of the items that we were deemed after the storm that we hadn't taken care of, and we complied with that in December. Maybe there's a cross-reference to that I can find out. I'll do my best to get it to you the next meeting. It may not be, this is the first I've spoken about that list. I've just been spotting them as we're going around. So.
Yeah, it was color coded.
It was color coded, and it doesn't have to be the next meeting, but I know she had the spreadsheet, so I'm sure she's updating it as you make progress.
I don't know, I haven't asked for it, I haven't seen it.
That's really sort of what I'm wondering. She clearly somehow identified various goals. We're trying to achieve this has to happen by this date, and so I'm wondering what happened. That's all.
Yeah, I'll have to find that out. I didn't know you guys had
This was talked about back in September, October of last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're back to the meeting. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question, and we only elect a fairly new member here. Would it be possible to get, I guess, an update on some of the things that are happening as far as the planning and zoning, the new sites that are being planned, the Sweetwater, the St. Joe building, some of those other things? Just an update on what's taking place.
Okay, but
No, it's been approved.
No, Sugar Sand is what's outside of our city. Okay.
Sweetwater's the one behind the business district there.
Okay. Yeah.
And maybe that's something I do on my own. I just, as a new member,
Sure.
I'm not familiar with what took place with the approval of those, and I would like to understand.
My only comment that is it's hard, it's a little bit for me to catch up with some of those because a lot of these have been approved prior to my arrival, and I just noticed one on 8th Street there, on Oceanside, where they're putting in a seawall last week. I started talking to them about that. You know, that was approved in March or April of last year. That's going to be what, 6 townhomes stacked in there next to where the spillway goes out. So that seawall goes in and then that comes. So I don't disagree with you. So let me just see what I can do about a list to get together. I don't think I can have it as fast as maybe 30 days, but I can start putting it together.
I'm just trying to understand the vision of where the city's going for development, because I know a lot of things have been approved, and you may be familiar with it, I am not.
Yeah, you know.
It's a good
I would-
question, because things get approved and then timelines change, and when they come
Right.
back for another request, it's another
I will look through the things that I have that I still have the packets. I don't have them all because sometimes I don't save them. And, you know, I'll be happy to get those to you.
I'll work on a listing of those as well. So let's see.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. Since you don't have a citizen forum like the city council meeting has, I waited to talk about the fence thing. Can I ask you guys a question about your LDR?
Yes, go ahead.
And Mr. Masters, I emailed you about that. The sugar stand, it's not sugar stand, one's coming over here with 157 houses on the water with docks and all that.
Sweetwater.
Sweetwater, okay, yeah, that's zoned for tourists, commercial, I think it is. And in your LDR, it specifically says, restrictions, prohibited uses, docks, piers, and wharfs. How is that allowed to have 157 homes in there with docks for boats when it's particularly forbidden? How did that happen?
I'm not sure we can answer that question. But, you know, I do remember that one. And we talked about several things, but remember, we're not the final say on any of those things. And so the city council, when they get it, they often go a different direction. That's all
I
I
don't ever remember anything being approved to do that.
They had a marina at one time in the previous plat that came through in July, and then they reduced that to not have the marina anymore. They had 2 different private boat docks that was changed. And there is some pictures of the houses that actually have where you could float up, I guess, better on a lift or something like that under some of those homes.
Canal frontage, yes.
Because the canal goes all the way around that area.
Yeah, but there are still some problems, as I remember, with that particular thing because they weren't gonna, who's in charge?
Frank James.
Army Corps or somebody would not approve them. They were gonna dredge and do some other stuff.
They got that approved.
They got it approved?
They have a permit to widen and deepen it.
And see, we never heard that back to us. When the last time we were aware of it, it was not approved.
It's been approved for preliminary plat twice, so this was the 3rd time it came back for some change of preliminary plat. So it wouldn't have been with you guys until before July was the last time it went to council. So there was time before that, whenever that was.
March
What's the
2020.
distance between,
March 2020.
what's the distance of the, how much canal is between this development and the part of the canal that we already keep dredged and maintained?
It touches that.
It comes up, okay.
So if you went under 36th Bridge, 36th Street Bridge, you can see, you can make a right and continue what we already use. You make a left, it goes out and around.
Okay, I thought there was gonna be a gap in this.
No, it's navigable waterway.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments anybody wants to make? Okay, do
I
we,
motion that we adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.